I'd always find a reason to blame or point my finger at something else. If something wasn't
Yeah.
going well in my life, I would blame somebody else or blame something else. Now I can accept.
Today's episode is all about redemption, about what happens when you stop running from your past and start rebuilding your future, one honest step at a time. Josh Case knows that story firsthand. Once a high performing executive in the energy industry, Josh's life looked polished on the outside, but behind the success was deep burnout, hidden pain, and decades of alcoholism that nearly cost him everything. After 3 trips to rehab, losing almost everything he built, and confronting his past, Josh turned his breakdown into a breakthrough. He rebuilt his life, his relationships, and his purpose. This time on life's terms, not his own. Today, through his global platform, Sober.buzz, he is helping people destigmatize addiction and recovery by sharing real stories, honest conversation, and hope that healing is always possible. Josh, welcome to Positive Vibes with Nikki Dennis.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Nikki. I appreciate that. I appreciate everything you just said. Thank you.
You're most welcome, Josh, and we're eager to find more about your story today. So, Josh, your story is real, raw, and deeply human. Can you take us back to the moment when everything started to fall apart, the moment you knew something had to change?
Well, there were periods of time, over the last couple decades that I knew I had a drinking problem, and at times I did try to address it, but never never as serious as I have over the last 2 years.
Mm,
You know, the last 2 years it was kind of like a series of events where I started facing consequences
mm,
and things just stopped, going my way. In July of 2023, my ex-wife left. My kids are all grown up. I resigned my position at Engie, a global Fortune 500 company. Uh, because I figured, why am I doing this anymore?
mm,
I just want to do what I want. And then I went from a functioning alcoholic to Josh just doing what he wanted, which was just drink all day at the bar. And that just quickly spiraled out of control without having
mm,
guardrails on of responsibilities. I ended up in rehab for the first time in August of 2023 for 30 days, then went back
mhm,
in the fall of 2023, and then ultimately summer 2024 I went for 3 months, and that is when I got sober,
mhm.
following the first arrest of my life. I had never
Yeah.
been arrested before. I got arrested in Florida. My dream was to move to Florida, have a house on the water with a boat. Uh, had that, and just couldn't be happy with that, I guess. I just had to
Mm,
self-sabotage that. So now I'm in
yeah.
Austin, Texas, um, which is never thought I'd be here. But I'm sober and know a lot more about myself and how to live than I
Mm.
did a little over a year ago when kind of things came to a climax, if you will. So.
Yeah. So just going back to when you shared you were living a double life, successful on the surface, but
Mhm.
struggling privately. What
Yeah.
was life like to live in that kind of pressure and secrecy?
Miserable.
Mm,
Because I drank around people at cocktail parties, at dinners and stuff like that, but I would also drink by myself. You know, when people weren't around. Yeah,
yes.
I was drinking to suppress uh, things that had happened in my past that I had never dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
I always had low self-esteem. So, I kind of had, I guess I turned out turns out, I guess the phrase for it is imposter syndrome. I never
Mm,
felt like I really uh earned where I was at. I was like, 5 seconds away from, someone, calling my bluff, even though somehow, I've been, you know, uh, global Fortune 500 companies have bought projects from me and businesses from
yeah,
me, and I'm at the top, yet I'm still, don't have the confidence that I actually belong there, right?
yeah,
So that was hard, you know.
yeah. Yeah,
So
I'm sure there's many listeners out there that's hearing what you're saying and actually resonate with you, highly successful, but still don't feel comfortable in their own skin or something's not right, they're not aligned in some kind of way. So Josh, what did it look like hitting rock bottom for you? How did you, and
yeah.
also how did you begin to climb your way back?
So I had several rock bottoms.
Mm,
The last one was getting arrested in Florida after moving there a week earlier. Like I mentioned, about a house on a canal, a boat out on the Gulf in 15 minutes. Actually, never used the boat because I got
mm,
arrested and for criminal mischief. It's not as cute as it sounds, but I it was a big wake up call.
yeah.
I ended up going to a rehab place outside of Austin, Texas. That's kind of why I'm here. Um, Called Renewal Lodge, and it was different than the other two rehabs I went to before. The other two were kind of celebrity rehabs, kind of
Mm,
uh, very very posh, kind of like almost like a resort. This one was more like serious, more utilitarian, if you will.
mm-hmm.
Um, and that's what I needed. I needed to be humbled. I needed to, uh, you know, getting arrested. I thought at that point I had never been involved in the criminal justice system before. And
Yeah.
even though it was one charge and everyone's laughing like, "Oh, big deal. You've never been in trouble before. You're not gonna nothing's gonna happen here." You know,
Mm,
I didn't know.
yeah.
I mean, the charge was ultimately dropped, but it was a big wake up call that
Mm,
basically I came to the conclusion I was either going to end up dead or in prison if I kept behaving and using and being irresponsible like I had been being,
a
right?
huge wake up call for you.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. So you've said rehab wasn't just about stopping drinking, it was about facing what made you want to escape. What did you
right.
learn about yourself through that process?
Well, yeah, I was drinking not to have fun, like most people do. I was drinking
Mm,
to escape, right? My mind. I was taken advantage of by a male babysitter when I was 10 or 11 years old.
mm,
Never dealt with that. Suppressed it. Only a couple people knew my whole life.
yeah.
I was able to deal with that. I mean, that's something that would uh, come up every day in my mind and haunt me, right? Now
Mm,
I can talk about it. I don't get hung up on it now. Like I used to. I didn't know what to do with it, right?
mm,
It would just make me upset, mad, unhappy. So dealing with that, I got a book given to me by my therapist called Codependent No More, and that book
mm-hmm.
changed my life. I started reading it. I'm like, this woman must know me. She wrote about me.
Yeah.
I had heard of codependency before. I never knew what it meant. But reading that book, I realized I was like living wrong. Like all my relationships, on some level were transactional.
Mm-hmm.
I was people pleasing. I had expectations. Just as everything that book says you shouldn't do, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Not not like I was like going out planning on doing it. That's just how I was.
Mm,
And everyone's codependent to some extent. I'm still codependent, but I at least I can manage it now and I know what's happening.
yeah.
Before I was just uh just creating headaches for myself that I wanted to
Yeah.
escape from, you know? So I
Yeah.
mean that was big. And then I would also say the other big thing is I learned that my feelings don't control me. My feelings I don't have to react to every feeling I have.
Mm.
I can just let a feeling pass. Like I never even thought about it before, but in my life I have a feeling I would react, whether it
Yeah.
was good or bad. Like I don't have to do that.
Mm.
Um, easier said than done sometimes, but like I never even gave myself the choice before. It was just like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel this way, I must act this way type
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah. Yeah, what was coming through to me then, while you were talking there about how conditioning, about how we're conditioned when we grow up, and also how we condition ourselves and protect ourselves growing up, and we end up, in that codependency situation, not by fault, just by it's just happened as we've grown up to protect ourselves, and also how we're conditioned by others at that time. So,
well, I knew like I dealt with things differently than other people, and certain things
yeah,
bothered me that didn't bother other people. I always felt like there was something like different or wrong about me.
yeah,
Um, and I that book I think explained much of that
mm,
to me, like why.
yeah.
Um, because I was like very, very, very
Yeah,
codependent,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So just further on your therapy, how did recovery and self-awareness change your relationship with responsibility and forgiveness?
Well, yeah. So before I got sober throughout my life, I'd always find a reason to blame or point my finger at something else. If something wasn't
Yeah.
going well in my life, I would blame somebody else or blame something else. Now I can accept the responsibility, and actually accepting responsibility has helped me, I think, quite a bit with my self-esteem, right? Because
Mm,
I'm not like looking back, like trying to weasel my way out of responsibility for something, right? Like I can just own it. Yeah, I
mm,
it is what it is, and it doesn't change who I am. Like I can't explain like why. I mean, other people do it. Like they blame other people. They point fingers.
mm,
Like I I I can't. It's much more satisfying to take responsibility for things.
mm.
Like it's once I started doing that, and it actually made me feel better about myself.
Yeah, yeah, you're owning it. Mm,
Yeah,
yeah, and you're being authentic at the same time.
right.
Yeah. So there's a powerful theme in your story about second chances. What does a second chance really mean to you now?
Well, I took the last, like, for example, one example would be I took the last couple of years off from my industry, which is renewable energy, battery storage, infrastructure. Um, 3, 4 months ago, I started doing some consulting, and
Yeah.
everybody's welcomed me back. I am
Mm,
now looking for to get more involved back in the industry, and it's I'm not being shunned, right?
mm,
Like I'm getting a second chance. I do need to show that I'm not gonna uh you know g- I have changed, right?
yeah.
But there with my kids, my kids, they never stopped talking to me or anything like that, but they grew very frustrated with me.
Mm,
Um and so that they're very happy, and I can like they it's they're all grown up, like 28, 25, and
yeah.
20 years old, but like instead of they're not acting like the adults now, like like what,
Yeah.
like, oh, we got to keep an eye on dad. It's that they're acting like kids now, and it's just the dynamics change. You can
Yeah.
feel it, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So further on that, you've rebuilt your life, your purpose, and your identity. What does life
Well, it's
beyond?
ongoing, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
it's I've been sober, a year and a half, not quite a year and a half. Like, it's and I was drinking and using for decades. Like
Mm,
it's still well, it's a journey, right? Like
yes.
I understand what a journey is now. Like
Yeah.
there's no end point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's an ongoing process. So hopefully
Yeah.
I'm better, a year from now than I am now. So
Yeah. Yeah. So what's life look like today, a year and a half later after the addiction?
well, I wake up in the morning not hungover or feeling like crap uh because of what I've used or drank. Maybe I slept bad, but that's a different. I'm waking up not wondering what I did, said,
Mm,
regretting what I did or said. It's it my worst day now, I would say is better than my best day uh back then. Because like the
mm,
it's it's I just I feel better. I can look at myself in the mirror. I'm not hiding from things. It's I look back and I'm like, I can't even believe that was me. I know it was me, obviously, but like
mm.
it's it's somebody I don't recognize anymore. So
Yeah, that's a nice way of describing it, that your worst day today wouldn't even been your best day back then. Yeah, it's a lovely way of putting it to see how far you've come. So you've said it's only been a year and a half, where you've been sober. What's been the hardest part of staying on this path, and also what's been the most rewarding?
well, I would say once I dealt with the stuff that was like causing me to drink and wanting to basically self-medicate, uh the desire to drink went away or
Mm,
use. It we live above bars on what's called 6th Street in Austin. So like, yeah, if I wanted to go drink, it's a 2 minute. I'm out of my building and I'm in a bar in like 2 minutes, right?
mm,
It's not. I'm not. I guess isolating myself away from alcohol,
yeah.
right? It's like right there. It's just not. I walk by the bars. I don't want. There's no draw for me anymore.
Hmm.
It's something I never thought would happen, right? I never thought I'd
Yeah.
be sober. I never thought like I had been sober for periods of time in my life, but it was miserable. I was, as I say, white knuckling it because I still had all the problems. I just wasn't self-medicating.
Yeah.
Um, so it's something I never thought would happen, but it has. Now,
Mm,
I'm not gonna say we're not supposed to say like we can't make a mistake or fall back into it. I'm but I don't see that happening. So
mm. No, good for you. Good for you. So, for someone who loves someone who's struggling with addiction, what's the best way they can support them without enabling the behavior?
well, I was surrounded by enablers.
Mm,
I mean, it's not their fault, but like, I from my ex-wife to my executive assistants to, at work. I mean, like it's I can only imagine how difficult it was for them. I mean, they didn't know what to do, right, with me.
mm,
So until I was ready to to do something about it, or at least try to do something about it seriously, like there's not much you can do. I what you can put up boundaries. Like my ex-wife, she left, right? One of the
mm.
main reasons she left was because I was a drunk. You know, it, that became a very serious problem.
Yeah.
So sometimes, and that was the first like real consequence that I had, if you will, faced in my life, right? I'm
Mm.
40, what, 40, 47 years old, and like, like nothing's really, I haven't had a problem really with anything. I've gotten where I've gotten, and as an alcoholic without consequences. Well, that was the first one, right?
Mm.
So, if like removing yourself, if it's causing you problems, that's what happened in that situation.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
it's a tricky situation. So,
Mm. No, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because they want to, you want to support your loved ones, but then yeah, you just don't know how to help in that situation.
right.
So you often talk about patience, learning to slow down, rebuild trust, and live one day at a time. How has that shifted the way you approach life now?
Well, I am a lot more patient now. I like things I realize don't. I always wanted things to happen like right away, right? Um, so I realize that life is I'm looking at life as this journey now, right? That's like that's unfolding instead of like just that day where, my goals were, whatever I had to do with work and then drinking, right? Th Those were my
Mm.
focuses, unfortunately. Now it's kind of um, like I don't have, I'm not focused on drinking, so
Mm.
it's really freed up a lot of time.
Mm. It's not
You know
consuming
what I
you.
mean?
Mm. Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
consuming
so
you. Mm.
yeah, yeah, so that's I have a lot more bandwidth now.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, it- I had the same amount of time before, but it was being eaten up by either me being preoccupied with drinking or drinking, which basically I was physically there, but not mentally much of the
Mm.
time.
Yeah. So you talked about this earlier. Taking ownership of your own mistakes become part of your healing. Why do you think it's so powerful?
Well, I mean, s- so I I would blame other things or circumstances or people for things that I
Mm.
did that I didn't like or the outcomes that came of them if I didn't like them. But like ultimately, this clip, like no one, nothing can make me do anything I don't choose to do, right? I mean, I may get very frustrated and, if you will, snap or whatever, but like I am still making that choice.
Mm.
So like I'm not perfect at it, but like I'm like that's one thing that I work on is like, patience and not letting a circumstance, a person, a situation, um, you know, determine how I'm gonna respond. Now, but easier said than done, but I'm doing a lot better at it than I used to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I just want to go back to you talked about you're an alcoholic for years, decades. What does self-compassion look like for you today, and how do you learn to extend it to yourself?
Well, I still have days or times that I'm like, man, I wasted, 20, 25 years of my life, especially, now that oh, don't know what happened there.
Mm,
My camera went off. Let me
yeah,
fix that.
you're right.
There we go. Um, now, looking at like what I put my kids through and stuff like that,
Mm,
there are days and times that I'm pretty not real thrilled with myself. But I don't let that I don't let that spiral me like, I would have back in my addiction. I look at like I the positive things, like, I am talking to my kids, for example.
yeah,
I have the opportunity now to fix things with them. it's going to take time, but it's better than continuing to do damage, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why that keeps doing that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's all right. Not a problem. Might be just
Yeah.
a wiggly cord that sometimes makes it go on and off.
So I guess that in the short of it is I have the opportunity to try to fix things, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So through it all, you would have been thinking about daily quotes or mantras. Can you share a quote, I mean, a mantra or a quote that keeps you going throughout the day?
Um, Actually, one I came up with the first time I was at rehab. Let me make sure I get it right. It was I didn't know how empty I was until I started to fill up.
Oh, I love that.
Like, yeah, like I'm going through life. eh, I'm doing well. Uh, nice cars, nice
Mm,
career, whatever. But once until it was gone, and I'm like, it didn't realize like that stuff's gone. I'm empty.
mm,
That wasn't filling me up. And I would
no,
also say, don't give up hope, right? Like I never thought I'd be sober, or at least happy being sober, and
mm,
I'm both.
yeah,
So
yeah. That what was coming to me there is that you're actually walking through life now. You're actually experienced life. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And
yeah,
what?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And what's one thing that you're most grateful for today? You've mentioned a few, but what's one most grateful thing today that you're grateful for?
I would say being alive.
Mm,
Because there are a few times that it could have gone the other way.
mm,
And it, just with how many times I drove and when I shouldn't have driven, or
mm,
fallen, or just getting a black eye because I lost my balance. Like there were many times that let's just say I think something or somebody was wa watching,
yeah,
keeping it from getting too bad, because
yeah,
like waking up with a black eye, knowing you fell, but like that happened a few times.
mm,
And people have died like that, so
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah,
So,
being alive.
Josh, yeah, no, yeah, with what you've described, yep, it sounds like that's a good one. Mm. So, what does positive vibes mean to you now that you've lived both sides of the story?
Positive vibes now. Well, I think it goes back to my worst day now is better than my best day back then.
Mm,
Um, you know, and I'm not talking about like, experiences with my kids or things like that, but like mentally for me,
hmm.
because like back then I was just trying to hide from everything. That's why I was drinking.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do with my thoughts.
Mm,
Now, I do, and like one thing, this is another thing, easier said than done, right? But like living in the present. I used to be consumed by the past, like,
yeah.
oh, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Why didn't something go this way or that way? Or fret about the future, right? Like, what's going to happen? Is this deal going to work out, or this or that or the other thing? Um, but I obviously I still do think about the future and think about the
Mm,
past at times, but like I'm not consumed by it like I used to be. It's a lot better now.
mm,
Um, so like being able to at least enjoy the present and not have it being robbed by the past or the present or the future um is nice.
yeah. No, it's a lovely way to put your healing and how you continue to heal yourself. So you've built an incredible platform in Sober.Buzz, reaching people in more than 40 countries. What inspired you to create it, and what kind of impact do you hope it continues to have?
Well, I think that it goes back to when I first went to rehab. I started posting on LinkedIn. I've got like over 20,000 followers on LinkedIn. I
Wow.
left my position at a, high profile position. I didn't want rumors starting about what happened to me, so I posted that like, hey, yeah, I'm in rehab. I've got a problem. And I was overwhelmed by how many the support I got.
Yeah.
People messaging me privately saying that they've gone through this, they know someone that's gone through this, or they need help too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I knew there was a stigma around it, and I it was overwhelming. And so, I was sitting around earlier this year needing to do something, so I started a Instagram page called Sober Buzz Token and quickly got 500, 1,000, 2,500 followers. We got like 24,000 now.
Mm.
Um, started getting approached by a few podcast companies that produce podcasts, and got talked into doing one. And Sober Buzz Podcast on YouTube's got like 34,000 followers on it.
Mm.
And it we just have people on that talk about how they got sober, but also have
Hmm.
people on that have loved ones that are struggling and
Yeah.
they're not. But
Yeah.
how they handled, like your question about like enabling and things like that.
Mm.
We've had some guests on that have talked about how they've dealt with like their kid or that
Yeah.
was an addict, and how they had to look at themselves too and make changes. And
Mm.
it's yeah, it created to help other people, whether they're
Yeah.
an addict or not, because 12% of the population is alcoholic or addict, is what they say. So
Mm.
if you aren't one, chances are you know somebody,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so, or related to
Yeah.
somebody that you care about.
Yeah. No, that's big, 12%, isn't it? So
Mhm.
further on healing, for someone listening who is still in the middle of their storm, who thinks it's too late to start again, what would you tell them right now?
Well, it's never too late. I of course wish, I figured all this stuff out a decade or two ago, but I didn't. I figured it out now. It's better late than
Mm.
never. And I would just say I I didn't, and I doubt anybody else does enjoy being an alcoholic or an addict, right? It's not an enjoyable life.
Mm.
Uh, and I if you want to you got to start, you got to ask for help, right? You got to want
Mm.
help. Um, it, it, it's something that maybe you can, but it's a lot easier to do it with help than on your own.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And finally, where can listeners find you online and follow your journey?
Yeah, so on Instagram and Facebook at Sober Buzz Token is the
Mm.
handle. On YouTube at Sober Buzz Podcast, and on LinkedIn just search Josh Case, and I'll come up. So
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thanks, Josh. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, thanks for having me on, Nikki.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome. Well, Josh Case's story is a reminder that healing doesn't happen overnight. It happens the moment we stop pretending we are fine and start choosing honesty, hope, and heart. He's proof that rock bottom can become the foundation for something new, that recovery is not a weakness, but courage, and that we are never too far gone to begin again. You can follow Josh and his Sober Buzz community and on Instagram, and visit his LinkedIn to connect, learn more, and join the conversation on life after addiction. This is Positive Vibes with Nikki Dennis. And remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply not give up. The comeback is always waiting. Sending your love and positive vibes. Bye for now. And thank you, Josh.
Yeah, thank you.